In the meantime, legislators in the Rivers State House of Assembly have withdrawn the impeachment notice that was previously sent to Governor Siminialayi Fubara. The lawmakers officially began their sessions in the state capital of Port Harcourt on Wednesday. They gathered solely to focus on the withdrawal of the impeachment notice against Fubara during their deliberations. Now, this follows a meeting between President Bola Tinubu and the warring parties in the Aso Villa in Abuja on Monday.
Which believe this data is dated 20th day of December 2023. Riots for Martin Chiki, DSSRS, Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, House of Assembly quarters, Port Harcourt. Mr. Speaker, withdrawal of notice of impeachment of His Excellency Sir Siminialayi Fubara, GSSRS, Governor of Rivers State. Kindly be informed of the decision of the undersigned honorable members of this House to withdraw the notice of impeachment of His Excellency Sir Siminialayi Fubara, GSSRS, Governor of Rivers State. Pursuant to Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered.
Well, to join us to further discuss the Rivers State political crisis, I'm now being joined in the studio by Dr. Adedayo Kayode, a social political technocrat. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure being with you this evening.
Our pleasure to have you as well. So I'm going to start off by asking, what are your thoughts first on the Rivers brouhaha, and then secondly, the President Tinubu's intervention, which led to a peace deal between Wike and Fubara?
See, the first part of the question as regards the political brouhaha in Rivers State is nothing other than political brigandry. Political brigandry in what sense? A governor had been elected. No doubt about it, according to Wike, which is said publicly, that he bought funds for all of them, inclusive of the House of Assembly members and the National Assembly members. Are you going to be the first person to do that in this country? No. Those that have been doing such in the past, do they hold on to their stooges publicly like that? In Yoruba, they will say, that is when you are giving somebody a ram. You leave that ram with the rope. You don't give somebody a ram and then hold the rope. It's going to cause confusion. Now, when you are trying to still hold on to the government, to the governance of that state, the governor is telling you, look, I am here. You have spent your time. You are now sending the House of Assembly to go and impeach him. Now, look at the House of Assembly members. For goodness sake, you've sent an impeachment notice to him. You are now withdrawing it. On what basis are you withdrawing it? Are you saying that all those infringements you accused him to have committed? Yes, those infringements are no more there. Secondly, you have already resigned from the party that brought you to that seat. What does the Constitution say? And that takes me to what Bola Tinubu is doing. How can you be legalizing illegalities? The Constitution states it clearly that the moment you resign from that party that brought you to an elected position, then you vacate that seat. So what are you now saying? What is all this we are hearing? It is further authenticating what some of us have been saying, that this country is now tending towards a one-party state, which will be injurious to our nascent democracy.
And still talking about the political imbroglio, now some people are of the opinion in different quarters that the 8-point peace agreement that was signed by both governors is a slap on the face of Nigeria's democracy. Do you share the same thought?
Exactly. No, exactly. The president belongs to a party different from the party that the governor of Rivers State belongs to. So, if there is a kind of disagreement between those people in Rivers State, he has no temerity to be calling the governor of Rivers State to Aso Rock to come and sign. No, for good, to come and sign what? He has been given notice of impeachment. Now, that notice of impeachment, the judiciary in Rivers State needs to look at it as the judiciary looked at it. So on what basis are you now withdrawing that? I mean, it's showing that what we are experiencing in Nigeria now is nothing other than political brigandry. Everybody is just doing whatever he likes and all that. And where does that lead us to? For the past 7 years, every New Year Day and the Independence Day, I always address the nation. And this type of a thing is likely going to be in my address to the nation come 1st January. Just watch out. And we are spending there. It can be likened to what we are experiencing now, can be likened to a newborn baby whose father died before reaching adulthood, and it's now being tendered by cousins, uncles that are not interested in the development of that child, rather interested in what the father had left behind, and now pretending to be taking care of the child. At the end of the day, what happens to the child? It becomes a deviant. It becomes a deviant to the society, and a thorn in the flesh of the value system of that society. And that is what we are experiencing in Nigeria now. Our forefathers, they didn't leave this for us, but unfortunately along the line, some people grab that power rather than nurturing Nigeria that was once a signature of all eyes in the whole world. Rather, they started stealing here and there and then leaving that Nigeria itself to develop the way it's supposed to develop, and then validating various forms of violations of our constitution. And that is where we are now. And not until when some of us who are really interested in the actual development of Nigeria takes up the mantle, comes up and says, no, enough is enough. Honestly speaking, in the next few years, Nigeria will be a kind of the former giant who is now a dwarf of no valued integrity.
But then speaking of taking up the mantle, how can that be achieved? Because it's already looking like only one set of people control the narrative, control the nation.
Yes, because people are now afraid. I was discussing with somebody today, and I was saying, Dio, listen, all these things you people are doing, remember what happened to Bola Ige? Nobody is talking about it again. Remember what happened to Funshaw Williams? Nobody is talking about it again. Remember what happened to this? Remember what happened to that? I said, okay, fine. Must we continue to be living for nothing? And I said, listen, for me, it is better for me to die for something than to live for nothing. So not until when we realize that, and then start scientific interrogation of our polity. Scientific interrogation of our polity. For instance, I'm still saying it today that subsidy removal was and is still a fraud. Fraud, nothing like subsidy. When you take a proper evaluation and assessment of direct supply, direct purchase policy of NNPC, pre this so-called removal of subsidy, even the National Assembly substantiated it that at 190 naira per litre, NNPC was making 100 naira per litre gain. So where is it? Not until when people decide to take up the mantle to start interrogating scientifically various policies of government, then they will just be looking at us as, don't mind them, whatever we throw at them, they will take.
So, I mean, just to deviate a little bit regarding the fuel scarcity, the subsidy apologies. Now, the World Bank did say that even at the 650, Nigeria is still running short. It means that they're still paying a little subsidy that is actually supposed to be 750. So Nigeria is still helping the citizens. What do you want?
What do you want World Bank, IMF to say? These are imperialists. These are our colonial masters before. And they are now saying that if they allow Africa to get their acts together, especially Nigeria, just like Mandela said, that the whole world is waiting for African continent to take its position. But not until when Nigeria gets its acts right, Africa will not be able to get it right. All right? So to that extent, they have been, IMF and World Bank have not been helpful to Nigeria. It's just like your neighbor, see you progressing, or what do they call it now? Rival women in the same married the same husband, and then you see this one's child developing while that other one's is not developing. They be looking for one way or the other to you understand. Okay. That's exactly what is happening between us and IMF and World Bank. All right, Professor Kayode, coming back to the reverse. Doctor, apologies. Well, yeah. But so coming back to the reverse issue now. Now, we also do understand that Chief Edwin Clark of the Ijaw community has said that the Ijaw ethnic group is ready to go to court to challenge the president's peace agreement. What do you think about that? It's not only Ijaw community that are going to go to court. Some of us are going to support them because we want the sanctity of our constitution. Because a country or a society without a virile law can never survive. Then it will turn that society to that Obesian law of society, whereby there will be disorder, there will be chaos, there will be crisis. And we don't want that. Those of us that have decided to start residing in this country without japping, if you allow me to say that. Yeah, sure. Doesn't want crisis. We want the sanctity of our constitution to be maintained. And we want a situation where democracy will still continue to work here. Even though Baba Obasanjo was saying we should look for our democracy. Yes, but there is no way we look for our own democracy when we don't change the structural attitude, the behavioral pattern of the people. There is no kind of democracy we bring that will work. So, in essence, as much as we want the sanctity of our constitution, as much as we want a cohesive Nigeria, void of all forms of primordialities, okay, we still want the attitudinal change of we Nigerians to how to ensure that there is rule of law, there is justice, there is equity, and fair play. Right. So I'm going to ask you this question. Now, some years ago, one would argue that godfatherism really helps the up-and-coming politicians, to find their path. But at this point in time, do you think that godfatherism has lost its use? At that time, for instance, during the First Republic, we have head chiefs. I won't call them godfather. political leaders like Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Azikiwe, and co. They understand the essence of bringing up knowledgeable, sociable, and people that are well exposed to the political process. My father was a well-educated person. He went to Forabe College, Sierra Leone. I mean, for somebody to have attained that place and all that, London School of Political Science and Economics, all right? He was part of the political system then. But unlike these days, rather than bringing in people that are knowledgeable, people that are scientifically oriented, who are they bringing up? Miscreants. Now, even if they are still bringing up such people, no problem, but they are now making them, building them strongly as against building a strong institution, unlike what we had in the past. There's no doubt about it. Even our Lord Jesus Christ, before he could do anything, was being brought up by John the Baptist. He was baptized by John the Baptist. Because he said, without that baptism, he wouldn't be able to do one or two things. He also went into the wilderness for only God knows. So also, Muhammad, SAW, left Mecca for Medina. So nothing wrong in it. But the question is, how veritable are the people you are bringing up to occupy certain positions? It's not that you bring up somebody to go to the House of Assembly, from there to House of Reps, from there to Senate, because it belongs to one cult or the other, because it can run some kirikara errands for you. No. Bring up people that are knowledgeable, people that when you put them in position of authority, they will be able to perform. They will be able to extend dividends of democracy to the people, to the electorate. So for me, nothing wrong in that. But who are you bringing up? And after bringing them up, did you allow them to perform? Just like it's happening between Wike and Fubara. Fubara is highly knowledgeable. He's educated, he's sociable, he's exposed. But is Wike allowing? So those are the problems we are having. Not until when we can resolve that particular issue. Barack Obama, who was he? The GOP brought him up. He can't do anything without the leadership of his party. But because they have seen some values in him, they have seen some kind of developmental activities in him. They have looked at his past. Not somebody who will say, listen, don't dig into my past because I'm going to suffer irreparable loss in my personality. We don't want such. We need people that, yes, when you search them in the past, you will see what they have been doing with the society. You will see what they have been doing as regards growth and development of the nation.
All right. All right, Dr. Kayode, I mean, I did give you professor. It will happen. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure being with you this evening.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Adedayo Kayode, a social political technocrat, joining us to discuss the Rivers State political tussle.